Hey guys, it's Hi. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Really? Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is Hi. Today we're going to be talking about how to have a better attitude with manifesting. And I have some really golden advice here, guys. Okay, so if you are interested in this, make sure to keep watching and I'll help you out.
Hey.
Throwback to a few years ago when I went to Florida and I saw my aunt, who's a therapist, and she always gives great advice and just like random pieces of advice that always stick with me. And one thing that stuck with me for years is the way you perceive things is your reality. She always said that. She said your perception is your reality. And I knew this because of how her telling me that all the time. I knew it, and I was like, you know what, you're right. It really switched something in my mind. But I was thinking about it and I was like, this ties into manifesting. This really ties into manifesting. So I looked in my book, which is Power of Awareness, right here. If you want a good manifestation book, get this one. I literally love it. I haven't even finished it and I'm literally obsessed with it. And there is a whole chapter on attitude. So let's go over what that chapter says. And it had a really insightful information that I knew, but I never really clicked in my mind. So the first thing is, there's no such thing as the real reality. There's only an assumption. Now, this is for the people that have like derealization or dissociation or things like that. This world is real. I'm not saying this world is not, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that our realities are all different. We do not share the same reality because we do not share the same perception. So that being said, my reality is different than yours and your reality is different than mine because we have different perceptions. And that's why when people say, this is your reality or this is my reality, like, that's what they mean. This is your perception of this world. This is your perception. And that's not the same as everyone else's. There's that first thing. Anyways, in this chapter, it really focused on changing your perception, which changes your attitude. And I was like, you know what? That's genius. Now, here is the golden piece of information I found. And I was like, I literally sat there and I was like, because I was like, oh my God, I need to immediately make this video and talk to you guys about this because this is gonna help so many people. Listen, nothing starts bad nor good. It just starts. Nothing in this world shows up bad or good. It just shows up. That is literally it. So say you're manifesting and something happens that you're not happy about, blah, 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 blah. Your immediate reaction is to categorize it as a bad thing because you feel sad about it, or in the past something's happened and you knew that this is not a good thing, you don't want to happen. Whatever it is, you immediately categorize it as a bad thing, which is affirming that it is a bad thing because it didn't show up as either. It didn't show up as a good thing or a bad thing. It just showed up and it was like, hey, here's this. Is this a good or a bad thing? And we decide if it's a good or a bad thing. And you know what? Why are we putting these limitations on it? And the thing is, with coaching and everything, my neighbor's outside. This is awkward, but I'm a YouTuber, I can do this. I talk to a lot of people about this, but we form a lot of bad assumptions subconsciously. We do not even mean to do this, but it happens. Say like, I don't know, in middle school you were a second choice. You might subconsciously assume that you are going to be a second choice. Or if you're trying to manifest an SP, you're like, they're gonna choose me second. They're gonna choose me second. It's because you have a subconscious bad assumption that you're gonna be chosen second. And these assumptions will sit in our brains and sometimes we aren't even aware of them. But when you focus and you take a step back and you're like, you know what? That's not a good assumption. Where did that come from? And you like rewire it by a simple affirmation like, oh, I'm always chosen first. That's fine. That is literally all you need to do. We need to change our perceptions about things. We need to decide that things are good. Neville always said, turn bad into good and good into better. That is literally it. If something shows up and you immediately are like, you know what, this is not what I wanted. This is not good. Don't tell yourself it's bad. Don't tell yourself it's bad. Be like, you know, this is great. This is gonna help me so much. This is gonna help me amazingly. Because if you do that, the chances of things fixing itself really damn fast are really high, and a lot higher than if you sat there and were like, this is awful. How did this happen? How did I manifest this? Because then you're just affirming it is a bad thing, and it's gonna continue to show up in your reality as a bad thing, and it's gonna affect your reality that way. And it's all about our perception. The way we see our reality is how it will show up. So if we are sitting there and being like, you know what, that's a bad thing, it's gonna show up bad. Your reality is gonna continue to show up bad. But if you see something and it shows up and you're like, you know what, that's a good thing, it's gonna show up good. Even if it's awful. Even if it's literally awful. Your SP got a girlfriend or whatever. Your SP got a boyfriend or whatever. Immediately you're gonna be like, that's really bad. No, that's great. It's you. It's you. Our perception is our reality of everything. So be aware of your subconscious assumptions. Be aware of what you're assuming outside of affirming. And just in general, in your life, do you assume bad things? Or do you assume things are bad? Maybe you have an assumption that bad things always happen to you. That is a negative assumption, and that is your perception of the world. So that is going to continue to happen. Maybe you have an assumption that every time you affirm, the more you affirm, the less it shows up. That is a bad assumption. You are affirming, and that is your reality because that is your perception. And then in the book, it had this little story about this girl who basically was like an art major or something, and her producer was always like rejecting her work and just being so critical over it, so critical and rejecting, and it was just this huge thing, and she was very upset about it, and she went to someone and was like, I need help, like, why is this manifesting in my reality? And they found out that it's because before that she would go in every single day to see her producer, in her head she would imagine argumentative conversations with him, arguing with him, telling him how much she hates him, telling him, oh, I hate this, blah 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 blah, and that manifested. This guy didn't inherently like or dislike her. It just was showing up how she assumed it would show up because that was her perception. That was her perception of this dude. So he showed up that way because that is how it is. It's going to show up the way you assume it to show up, whether you are conscious of it or not. So to end this little video, I have 3 questions to ask you guys that you could comment down below, and I would love to listen. Or you can just say them in your head real quick, or write them down, or anything. Turn them into journal prompts, whatever you would like. The first one, do your thoughts line up with what you want? Are your thoughts always lining up with what you want? I say about 5% of the time you're allowed to waver a little bit, and that's not me saying go waver that 1 hour a day. Don't do that. But 95% of the time, are your thoughts lining up with what you want? Are they showing up the way you want them to? And I mean all the time, not just when you're setting aside time to affirm. I mean all the time. The times that you're not consciously affirming, the times that you're just going about your day normally, those times count too. Those times count more because you're not conscious of it. You're not aware. You're not going to stop yourself and be like, you know what? I can't be affirming this right now. It's normal day life. You're just doing your thing. And those thoughts are important too. The second thing is, are you aware of your perception of the world? Do you have assumptions and do you perceive things in a way that you're conscious of? Write it down. Write down what you perceive things as. Or maybe you don't know. Maybe this is a time to self-reflect and think, you know what? How do I see the world? How do I see how the world treats me? How do I see how I treat the world? All those things. Great. I love filming outside, guys. Dr. Pepper break. This shit is so good, guys. The last question is, do you play scenarios in your head that you want to happen or you kind of think are going to happen? For example, let me explain that a little bit more. Say you're confessing to your SP. I don't know. No, you know what? Let's use a different scenario now. Appearance change. Say you are about to look in the mirror. You know you have to look in the mirror. You can't avoid it. Are you visualizing and having the scenario run in your head of what you look like and what you want to look like and what you've been affirming you look like? Or in your head is the scenario you see you looking in the mirror and seeing exactly what you look like that you don't want to look like? Which one are you doing? Because those count too. You want to be affirming and visualizing and seeing the scenarios and talking in your head and having inner conversations about things you want to happen, not the current 3D, not what you think will happen, not what we're programmed to think is going to happen. No, what you want to happen. But that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm about to film a video of you guys meeting my cats, and glue on my damn eyelash is what I'm about to do. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, watching these videos helped you manifest. Stay with me. Watching these videos helped you manifest. Watching these videos helped me manifest, and I'll see you guys soon.